Okay. Last, and probably the most significant factor that affected decision-making on the negative side, poor decision-making, was an ignorance of Vietnamese culture and history that almost universally was shared among American policymakers throughout all these phases I'm going to lecture on today. The idea here is that U.S. decision makers, people working in the State Department, who gave advice to the high-level people, they did not have a background in Vietnamese culture, Vietnamese language, Vietnamese history. And so they would make decisions that were ignorant or ignored the subtleties that happened within a culture. So to give one basic example here, we had a policy that came into effect about 15 years into the war, where American servicemen were rounding up villagers and taking them out of their villages and putting them into what they called safe zones. And the idea was that they would protect them from the communist forces in the area, and they'd be more easier to watch over them if they relocated them to an area that American forces had secured. The problem with that is the Vietnamese, part of their religious practices, part of their culture, was that they worshipped their ancestors, and they buried their ancestors on their property, on their land. And so their land becomes sacred at that point. And so you can't relocate people off of their sacred land. You can relocate people off of land, but now when the land itself has become sacred to them. And so this caused a big disconnect and problem between the American policymakers and the Vietnamese. And it actually alienated the Vietnamese civilian population against the U.S. forces. Okay, all of those things will conspire as we look at these next few phases